A lot of pumping going on upstairs. Afternoon, morning for me, afternoon for you. Those on the West Coast. I don't know. Can you hear that? Because I hear it. I'm just wondering if you can hear it. All right. Welcome to, I don't even know what episode are we on? 55. Episode 55. Well, episode 55. Okay. I can hear it. Welcome to episode 55 of Tech Stocks and Jobs. We are currently at, hold on, let me go, because we didn't celebrate. We didn't really celebrate last week. Let me see. We are at, we're at 2020 um, subscribers, right? Congratulations to us and congratulations to y'all as well for helping us get there. Um, you know, that's a good feat. And I think we are at in our Slack. Hold on. Let me look. I'll tell you in 1 second. In our Slack group, I think we made it to 3,000 something. Hold on. We're at 3,000 now. Congratulations to us, to the Slack group and those that have joined the Slack. It's 3,000 for the Slack group and 2,000 for our YouTube channel. Um, Big feat, episode 55. Shout out to Sunbreeze. Good morning, Kelvin. Kelvin Davis. Good morning, Sunbreeze 322. How you doing? I'm doing good. Simcia, what's going on with you? Are you gonna do investment talks today? Are you talking investment talks today? I hope you are. Let's see. I hope you are talking investment talks. I had to get my YouTube channel set up over here. It was set up, but it looked like it's not refreshing. Let's get back in. Yeah, because it only showed like it was two people in the chat, and I'm like, well, it can't be just two people. Adele, what's going on? How you doing? Yep, you get to catch a live one. That's a good one. All right, we had a lot of information today. If you missed last week's episode, let me do a recap. I think I should do recaps. I think we should incorporate recaps so that you know what was talked about last week. Let me pull that up, right? Episode 54. So we can have just a quick recap on, because sometimes I go off script. Um, let me give you a quick recap on episode 54. All right. So last week we got a chance to talk about where are all the millionaires located? Um, Also, what what does your degree give you, and your high school diploma give you, for in terms of the chances of you becoming a millionaire? And let me pull that up. I thought that was an important one. And then we talked about the richest counties that are and where they for each state and where they're located, and we did drop that particular link as well too. We also talked about life insurance policies. We talked about NFTs. We talked about DAOs. We also talked about the changing to the accredited investor. Right now, it's 200,000 for an individual, 300,000 for a family, or you can have 1 million in assets, or manage a fund, or take the Series 65, the Series 7, and I forget the other one. I always forget the other one. We also talked about what it takes to be an angel investor. We also introduced uh, self-driving cars, QR security code, and I did some takeaways on some particular YouTube videos that I watched. One was with Steve Harvey, when we talked about what I gained out of that particular video, where he talked about mentorship, work ethic, leadership, sponsorship, being able to kick in the door, no one's coming to save you. Um, how funding in the Black community can, well, in a particular area code that affects how people view you as an investment, or how companies view that particular area when it comes to lending. We also talked about companies that he's invested in, from Acorns. He has an NFT launching in May. Um, he's looking for minority founders. He's invested in GameStar, Moon Ultra, Block Cap. And then we went on to look at Pinky Cole, uh, with her investment in Atlanta with Slutty Vegan. We also looked at what who Marcia Fudge was, and what she's doing for HUD, and um, the pledge to eliminate, or except not, I don't want to say eliminate, but to provide shelter for homeless people. Where we also found out 40% of the homeless people, or excuse me, are African American. And then the $100 billion purchasing power over the next 5 years, 150 billion for housing, 40 to 50 billion for public housing. There's a rezoning that's occurring, so please be on the lookout at the lower in your local environments for rezoning as well too. And you know who all benefits for that. They also talked about opportunity zones, who benefited for that, and I think I have some stuff in here about opportunity zones today as well too. And I also looked up NFTs for homeless. Like, if you buy this NFT, it helps put a house up for a homeless person. So those that are interested in NFTs as well too, from social a social perspective, where you're helping others. And then I talked about Jamie Dimon, how he created his wealth. Where did his wealth come from? He is the head of JP Chase Morgan. But there's so much more that we talked about last week. Uh, I'm just kind of just giving some highlights of that. Now, one of the highlights that we talked about last week was your chances of becoming a millionaire, um, by age and education. Now, on this link, they show, let me drop down here, one of the big ones that I think was that stood out the most for me was, here is, you can see high school diploma, associate, bachelor's degree, master's degree. There's a 95% confidence interval, or confidence level, that if an Asian completes their bachelor's degree, that they have a good chance of becoming a millionaire. And the same if they did a master's degree. And for a white person, this is the same here, right? You can see the curve go up, and you see the curve go up here, but the curve doesn't go as high for Hispanic, and it doesn't go as high for Black. And then the one thing that stood out here, when they stated it, let me scroll down. Uh, mm, mm, do 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 do. Where is it at? Oh, where they stated that. Basically, I'm looking for the statement that states that it is equivalent for a Black person to get a master's degree, is equivalent for a Asian to get a high school diploma in order to become a millionaire. And that's what that stated. So let me pull it up so you don't think I'm making up anything. Mm, Oh, these are in the comments now. I don't want to be in the comments. Let me go back up. And I implore you go read this particular site on what they're talking about. I highlighted it last week, so it's not a big deal if I don't find it today. I highlighted it last week on the show, but I just want to make sure that this is like one of the things that we talked about last week, and then also there also is a breakdown of, like I say, the richest counties. Um, what I want to go back and do is I want to go back and talk about the um, uh, well, I did talk about the wealthiest billionaires, black billionaires. I showed that, and it's also on this list too, as well. Let me see. I'm still looking for it. Oh, here it is, right here. It says unless Hispanic and Black people are getting master's degrees in mostly low-paying fields, the huge percentage discrepancy seems too egregious. Put it differently, the chance of a Black person with a master's degree becoming a millionaire is the same as an Asian person with only a high school degree. And then up here, what I did want to highlight was, oh, it's not here. It's down here. It talks about over time. So here we go, right here, or we're showing the chances, right? And then here's the ages. So by default, also it takes 28 years on average for a person to become a millionaire, right? That's the median, right? The other piece to this was that I don't think was really highlighted last week, and I tried to show it, was, as you can see over time, um, how what that looks like to the chance to become a millionaire, right? Between 40 and 61, right? And then, that could, you know, is the average chance right here. When it said that most millionaires are, I think most millionaires on average are 68. And that's where the number's at. And 80% of the millionaires in the United States are white males, right? But look at this value here. As we get older, right, you can kind of see the slope kind of is like fading, like, yeah, your chances is diminishing. So between 40 to, I'm going to say 40 to 61 right here is probably our best chances. After this, the line is just, it just flattens. You see, it flattens where their line on this one continues to increase upward. We're kind of like going backwards, right? So I just wanted to point that out. I just want to point that out, right? So that was last week's talk. All right. Now let's get to it. If you don't know who we are, we're Women in Linux. I'm Tam. D's in the back. We are where you can find us on social media, throughout social media, at Women in Linux, uh, including Clubhouse. We was on Clubhouse last night. To I think I went to bed 4 o'clock my time, 6 o'clock your time. If you're on the East Coast, Midwest 5, we were up just shooting the breeze. And yet here we are. And I like to also point out to Donald, we're on time today. I heard your smoke last night. Want you to know we're on time today. And no bonded love. All right, inside joke. So that's what I said. CMCN need to look at that article. I posted that article last week. Um, Yep, you do need to go live and talk investments. Yep, we made it. We made it. Um, oh, you know what we didn't get a chance to finish off? I'll probably do it on the second show. I'll do it on the second show. I won't fit it in on this show. We need to go over the video with the HP CIO. That was one of the videos that I did want to go over. There's some good nuggets in that video that I think we should go over. Um, It says, I'm reading comments here. It said, thank you. Yeah, nerd out on this channel. That's the whole goal. Um, Donald, you said that have anything to do with degrees they choose. I don't know. We should do a deep dive and rip the article apart. Maybe we'll just do a dedicated show on that and rip it apart to talk about like, well, what because some of the things people ask me, well, who are the Asians? Well, it's kind of like, well, who are the blacks, right? Or who are the African Americans, right? How does that get lumped in, right? So that's one thing. It says for low income individuals, I saw Biden is attempting to add 5 billion to the budget for housing and urban development. Not only that, we there has to be a discussion about that when you're talking about housing and urban development, especially from the standpoint of Marcia. I didn't get a chance to finish that video. I need to, but speaking of, we all saw Target minimum wage, right? That got increased to $24 an hour, right? $24 an hour is Target's minimum wage now. So I want to do some calculations on that. This is not on my list. I just had some thoughts in my head as we were talking about this, and the reason why this one also is important is because you have to think of what inflation now, the cost of meat, the cost of just your basics, your everyday basics. Like, I was looking to buy some water, and now water is to the point now where water is $20 or $30. So if back in the day, you could get somebody $40 and they could go make a couple of meals out of that. Now it's like you get somebody $40 and they could make some meals. I mean, you can still make some meals if you just eating tuna fish, ramen noodle, uh, some chicken, but don't include no beef or nothing special, right? So that's just one of those things. So let's look at this. So let's say we're 24 an hour, we do 40 hours a week, right? That's 960, and we multiply that by 4 because 4 weeks in a month. That's 3,800, right? And that's multiply that by 12, so about 46,000, right? And let's go ahead and multiply that by 70% for taxes, and then divide that up by let's divide that 24. Let's say you get paid every 2 weeks. So that's 1344 um every 2 weeks, right? And um or roughly about 2,600 every month. All right. So now let's get into some thoughts here. Um, the median house, I think, cost for a house now is 350, and the reason why I'm focusing on the houses is, yeah. So yeah, 343 in Colorado, 505 in across other places, right? So it says, yeah, the median home price in the United States is 374, and that was the second quarter of 2021, and prices are still going up. All right, so that's 374. Let's look at average. Let's look at median rent um, across the U.S. See what we're pulling back. So in 2019 it was 1097. But we can kind of rule out 2019 right now. Let's see. Let's see. In October, they said the nationwide monthly rent was 1164. The median rent was 1104. So let's go back to what we discovered. Where my calculator go? Let me go back. So every 2 weeks you're getting 1344. If you're saying that on average a one bedroom is 1098, and I think that's actually low because in Colorado that ain't the truth, and then even in St. Pete that ain't even the truth, and DC most definitely not the truth. You know, uh, I think it's low, but hey, who am I? But those are the cities that I'm looking at, right? And here, I don't know how old this is, but let's expand this down here. That's 2019. I need 2021. That's what we need. Because the 2019 is so long ago with some of this data. Yeah, see, the national rent reached 1527, right? That makes a little bit more sense to me. I, I think that national rent is about 2,000, but that's just me. But we'll go with 1527. Let's go with 1600. All right, so 1600, and you working at Target. I don't know where my calculator went. And you working at Target and you making 2,600 a month, 1344, and you making 2,600 a month. I think you're gonna need a roommate because I haven't included utilities, and you going back and forth to work, and if they take out insurance, and if you're buying some stock, or if you're in a flexible savings account or HSA. I haven't I haven't even taken none of that out. So I think you're still gonna need a roommate. And that's at Target. So if nobody else is not shooting for 24 an hour, because I don't even know about overtime, then you know, we got some work to do. So I just want to point that out, what we're looking at. Because, people are like 24 an hour, it's good. It's good. Gets you, your 46,000. What is the national average on salary? What are we doing? Median salary. Median salary in the US is 51 as of August the 22nd of 2021. They're at 46,000. So with a little overtime, they'll be at median. Yep, they have to get a second job, a roommate, something. Um, find some cheap rents. I was looking at I was looking at the news, and they were not here though, but in Miami, and they were saying that the people in Miami, their rents had significantly increased. Like one guy was paying $1,000 a month, and his landlord hit him with, "Oh, when we renew, we're going up to 1,800 a month." 1,800 a month, and he was like, "I just don't have it." And so in Florida, if people are not aware, there's a big issue. Like Florida, Tampa Bay, is the one place where rents has outpaced everybody in the United States and has significantly increased. And the thing about Florida is there's no rent control. That rule has been taken out. So um, when you're looking at Florida, you're gonna see the rents very high. So no rent control um, in Florida. And yeah, right now, Florida law doesn't allow rent control unless there's a housing emergency, right? This bill will address this repeal because they're trying to put it into effect. But the people who are landlords and have rental units are like, nah, right? They're trying to introduce this back. Um, and so the question becomes is, um, how is that going to change the area, right? When you've been operating with no rent control, right? Let's look at Katy. Lady Eastwood lives in Sarasota, and her rent is going up by $500 a month. She said she cannot pay it and will have to move out. Right. So I was thinking this weekend, well, last night too, while we were on on Clubhouse, and I was thinking, I was like, okay, so what do these people do? Where do they go? Um, how does rent control? How is that bill going to work? So I advise everyone to definitely go look at rent control in your area in the cities and see how they work, especially those that have rental properties or looking to acquire a rental property and so forth. Right. All right, that is Tam spiel for that. Next one not least, I haven't forgot. If you want to donate with us, you can donate with your time. You can also donate with money. And if you want to connect with us, you can hit connect and then it'll drop you into here, put in your email address. You will need the Slack app and hit us up on Slack. All right, let's get busy. What is drip? Can anybody tell me what drip is? DRIP, not the person, like not y'all, nah, not that guy. But what is drip? Not your clothes, not your not not your wavy. You so wavy, not that. What is drip? Drop it in the chat. Tell me what drip is. What the engineering? How you doing? What is drip? That's right. All right, let's get to it. For those that didn't know, drip. I talk up. I say this. Um, I speak in different terms sometimes. So just want to get that out. Hold on. I see a comment at Women in Linux. From a business perspective, it seems foolish to me to make a product rent that no one can afford and to no one. But that's the thing. It's not the fact that no one can afford it. It's people can afford it. That's the thing. Like drip is jewelry. Nah, what is drip? Dividend reinvestment plan. All right. So reinvesting stock dividends has its advantages and disadvantages. Find out how a dividend reinvestment plan works. And here's an example. All right, let me make sure that's big enough. It looks big enough on the screen. Y'all let me know if it's big enough. I could make it a little bigger. I think that may help you there, right? All right. Dividend reinvestment occurs when an investor selects to have investment dividends, buy more shares of the investment. So again, when you have these dividends that come in, I don't know if you pay attention to the actual stocks that you're choosing, but you'll get a dividend and you can choose to reinvest that dividend or not, right? So, but most people go ahead and just keep reinvesting that dividend, right? You just keep 20 cents, 30 cents, $5, what have you, right? You just reinvest it. Um, uh, so here we go. Buy more shares of the investment rather than receive the dividends in a cash or a check. The investors who choose to reinvest their dividends are typically looking for long-term growth of their investment. Now, I talk about this all the time over here. We're talking about long-term growth and so forth, right? So, and that could be in a stock, a mutual fund, or an ETF, exchange traded fund. What is DRIP? DRIP stands for Dividend Reinvestment Plan, which is a program that allows an investor to have a stock or fund dividends automatically used to purchase more shares or dividend paying instrument rather than sent to the investor in cash. So I have a stock right now that I had when I worked at SAIC, and this is from 2000, from 2008, and it sends me a dividend check every month and a stock split. So I get one from SAIC, and um I get one from SIC and I get one from Lados. One from SAIC, it's been fluctuating. At one point, it was just always $8.88, and then it moved from $8.88 to $10, and then the one from Lados moved from $10, and last time I looked, it was $15. I was like, oh, okay, it's increasing. So basically, I get $23 a month, um, and I just take in cash it and just putting it into an account, and that's it. It's a old it's an old account that I had when I was working there, and so it's some stocks I had and cash. I just get the check, right? And that was from 2008, but I should be reinvesting that and buying more shares, right? All right. Investors may establish DRIP directly with the issuing company of the stock, or they may choose to have dividends reinvested uh, into the brokerage company where their investment account is held. So, like your Fidelity or your Charles Schwab, or you may have a Vanguard or what have you. The companies or the brokerage offering DRIP plans typically do not charge additional fees or commissions to the investor. So, advantages of using DRIP: not not Country Wayne drip, right? We should put that as a hashtag. D. Use that hashtag. Use Country Wayne and then drip. That's what we should use as a hashtag. All right, so simplicity. A drip program set up directly with the issuing company or the dividend reinvestment through a brokerage is easy to set up. Even on if you're using Robinhood, you could just go in there and then say, "Hey, this pays out a dividend," and then you say reinvest, and you select yes, and you keep it pushing, right? Or you'll get the dividend cut to you in the check or pushed to your account, right? Dollar cost averaging, DCA, dollar cost averaging. Since a drip program involves automated purchases over regular intervals, the reinvestment in a drip stock or fund, takes advantage of dollar cost averaging, which increases an investor's holding at varying entry prices. So you may dollar cost averaging, like you may buy $20 worth for some of a share. You may go buy $30 worth of that share. You just DCA in, or you may, on Robinhood, I think they do like, hey, I want to buy $30 of this $600 share or what have you. You just put money. I call it putting money on the books, but basically you're just putting money into that particular uh, stock that's going to pay a dividend. You could do the same thing with Amazon, Google, Apple. They pay dividends, so you can DCA your way in on those as well too. Another thing too is buying slices. That is what Charles Schwab calls it, is buying slices. Other platforms call it something else, where you can buy up now. I have seen you can't buy slices of ETFs. I haven't seen that on there, but I can buy a slice of stock. So Amazon, like Berkshire Hathaway, maybe I don't know what they're trading at 3,500 now. Let's see, what is Berkshire Hathaway um, trading? Yeah, what are they trading at? 487,000 444 for one share. That's their share. Right. So you could DCA your way in on that if you want to over time. There are other ones that have probably a better performance, but then you need to go look up and see what kind of dividends are they giving and so forth, right? But I'm just giving an example of something that's totally outrageous that may be like, $5,000 for a share versus you paying that $5,000 for your share. For that share, you can buy a slice of that share and pretty much just keep, $10 every pay period on something, or you may do $50 every pay period, or $50 a month, however you see fit for your own edification, for your budget, right? And another one is compounding, right? We want compounding. We Y'all should be typing compounding inside of the chat. Just type compounding. We love that word. We love that word, right? Reinvesting dividends can enhance the compounding effect of the investment. As the number of shares increase, each subsequent purchase will increase future dividend payments due to the additional shares purchased through the drip. Now, here's some disadvantages of drip, right? What's going on before the billions? Potential for income taxes. Unless an investor establishes dividend reinvestment with a tax advantage account, like an IRA, the dividends from the drip, from the drip, from a drip stock or other dividend paying investments are taxable as income to the investor. Right? We're trying not to give the man IRS uh, our money. We're trying to give at least as possible, and as least as possible over time. That's right. What the engineering compound is the eighth engine. Yep, they don't know. I think we should come up. You know what? I have to look into this. We should create an investment periodic table. There may be one out there already. There may be like we should look see if there's one out there, right? Tracking costs. You know how you used to be in class and they were like, "What's NA? What is S? What is C? What is O?" Right? We should come up with a investment periodic table, right? What is DCA? Like, we'll just put symbols up there. DCA is like DCA or uh, drip. Like, you should be able to, like, I know what it is. Here's an example, and here's how it works. I look into that. Tracking cost basis. A drip can complicate the process of keeping tax records. Each instance of the dividend reinvestment will have its own cost basis for capital gains tax purposes, which 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 is generally based upon the purchase price and any associated fees or commissions. No control over timing or purchases. The investor is not able to choose the reinvestment schedule with with drip. For example, many dividend paying stocks have a quarterly payout frequency, and there's some that pay monthly. There are some that pay monthly dividends, right? So some are not on a quarterly schedule. For example, a drip example, let's say an investor owns 100 shares of a company stock and has elected to have dividends reinvested. The company announces $20 per share. That means that they're announcing that is what is going to be paid quarterly per share. But you remember now, you got 100 of those, right? So it says quarterly. It says $20 per share quarterly dividend, and the stock price is $20 per share at the time of the dividend. Instead of receiving $20 in cash, the investor receives one additional share of stock because they're in the drip program. In the drip, what they want: drip, 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 drip. Game over. Dee's probably gonna tell me I'm corny, but I like it. Right? Here's the calculation for the drip stock example. You got 100 shares, and it's $20 in a dividend, which is $20 for reinvestment to buy one share because it is $20. But again, you can not elect to do this part right here and just cash out. But what you're missing is you're missing using your own money to make money, if that makes sense to you, right? So instead of me going to purchase, I've decided to reinvest my dividend, and my dividend is now going to make that purchase for me. The money, that $20 that I had in my account, I can now take that $20 and maybe go DCA in on Berkshire Hathaway or Amazon or somewhere else. I'm having my money work for me, and it's going to work for me over time. So this is why this part is important, right? This also says here investors should note that drip reinvestment can result in the purchase of fractional shares. Like I say, some people call it slices, other ones call it fractional. Based upon the example, if a shareholder owns 100 shares of the stock and the dividend payout is $20, not $20, 20 cents per share, the share price at that time of the dividend was 22. The dividend would buy 0.91 share. Like not anybody a whole share, but just buy 0.91. I DCA all the time. I go into my account and I have my setup of what I want to buy, what stocks I want to DCA my way in. Oh, I'm like, oh, I paid everything and I have some extra money. Do I go buy a TV or do I go buy this? Nope. Let me take that money, if it's $1,000, and I'll go put $100 on each one of the shares that I have. Some people only just play with Tesla. Some people only play with Google. Some people only play with Apple. I play with all three, and I'll go and say $100 on each one of those. All right, I still have $700 left. What else is been paying out good dividends? Let me go check my aristocrats and let me go check my kings and see what's going on over there and see who's been running good a good payout over the last 50 years and over the last 25 years, and let me DCA my way in on those as well too. That's just me. That's how I play it, right? I'm not. This is not financial advice. This is just what I do, and so forth. And let me read some of the comments here. Um, yes, long term. You say you reinvest wealth engineering. You say I reinvest my crypto dividends back in almost every day, so can pay you as much as 1% a day. Correct. Um, thanks for right typing compounding. Yeah, I do like the idea. Yep. Yeah, I mean, whoever want to collaborate on that, creating an investment periodic table, I think that could be actually sold to parents to do something with their child and their parent as well too. Creating an investment periodic table just to show like what does that look like, and then it would be cool. This is just me thinking out loud. It would be cool to say, well, what stocks give you drip? What's some good example? The whole long term, and here's why. And I like this example. I think this was really easy to follow. But giving examples like that and websites to look at, start talking about. I would start talking about drip with a 2 year old. Like we want drip, like just having a kid running around talking about drip, drip. Like because kids, that's what kids do, right? So by the time the kid hits 4, and you're like $2, mom, put it in my account so we can have drip. you know, just making it fun with a child, right? Making it fun with your parents too, right? All right. Bottom line, uh-oh. Let me go back. Let me go back. Boom, boom. Here we go. Bottom line, there are multiple benefits of using drip, including the simplicity of implementation, dollar cost averaging, and compounding. However, dividend reinvestment does have some disadvantages, such as tax and complexity involved in tracking cost basis. Investors are encouraged to do their own research before considering a drip stock portfolio. And you can go look on YouTube and different ones that talk about drip as well too. Yeah, work on a draft. Let's we could collab over that, Google Doc or what have you. Or probably something like a lucid chart. I don't know. I have to look up something that has a table where we could just plug in stuff to the table and then link it to definitions and so forth. I think that'd be cool to have. And I think it'd be cool to have to share in the community where we can open it up where everybody can add what they find, and you just have like this periodic table of investing, right? And we all have contribution towards it. I think it'd be cool for the community. All right, so there is some other stuff that I want to share. So we talked about We talked about dividends here, so let me pull this one up. And we're gonna get into some Dow and NFTs today, but um, let me pull this over. All right, so this came out March the 3rd. 28 upcoming dividend increases, including one dividend king. I wanted you to be aware of this. Aristocrats and kings, but I want to show you the other two as well too. So let's see, all stocks, and here's a summary of this, right? All stocks have at least 5 fiscal years of dividend growth history and come from the U.S. Dividend Champions list. They have an average increase over 9.4% and a median increase of 7.2%. And this person who wrote this article has been tracking this, right? I've tracked 146 increases in 2022. There are 28 increases for the next week, up from 21 from last week. Dividend King CBSH continues to increase their 53-year streak. Although the meager 0.76% increase, ITT, CNI, RS, and Expo all at least have a 20% increase. I say that again. ITT, CNI, RS, and Expo or EXPO at least have a 20% increase in their dividends, right? Looking for help in the market, members of blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Let's scroll down here. And they talk about how they created this list. I guess we can go into it so you can understand where that person was coming from. But I didn't want to spend time on it because I wanted to get to what those companies are. All right, so created a list below. Here's a spreadsheet. Let me click on that with upcoming dividend information from the Nasdaq. This measures metrics about companies with dividend growth history with dividend payments. We just talked about DRIP. This is why I'm mentioning this. So you can DCA or use fractionals, or you can make your first purchase on a stock that's having dividends that over time, right? Increasing over time. Companies are required to have a higher level total dividends paid out each year when they're talking about kings and aristocrats. Therefore, a company may not raise its dividend each calendar year, but the total annual dividend may can still increase. And they give an example of this, like what that spreadsheet looks like, right? And so it says, what is the EX dividend date? The EX dividend date is when you are no longer entitled to dividend or distribution. You may need to have made your purchase by the preceding business day. For example, if the date is Tuesday, you need to have purchased or purchased shares by the close of market on Monday. Be aware that for any stock going ex dividend on Monday, which or Tuesday, if a holiday is on Monday, you must own it prior to Friday. So they're just talking about the actual, can you take advantage of this particular share that's paying out this dividend? That's what they're talking about. And when do you take advantage of that share? All right. Here's some definitions. Kings, 50 years. Aristocrats, 25 years. Contenders, 10 to 24 years. And challengers are 5 years. We want to stay here, but sometimes you may find some companies down here that may be doing good. So I'm not going to tell you that, but I like to stay with these two, kings and aristocrats, right? So on this list, he's talking about the ones that on here that are. He had one king, which was CBSH, a champion or an aristocrat, and then a contender, and then a challenger. And so here's the main list here, right? They talk about when their date you should be in before by, so you have time. Today is the 5th. So you can purchase these on Monday. Well, 6. Oh yeah, you would have to purchase them on Friday. because the 7th is on Monday, right? So here's a king, CBSH, and they talk about the increases. So here, ITT increased its dividends by 20%. Canadian National Railway by 20%. Home Depot, you saw the numbers that came out about Home Depot. What did Home Depot make this year? Something like 15 billion or something. I don't know. I forget what it is. Billions something. Let me look that up. Yeah, second quarter. Yeah, here we go. Oh, that was August. Let me see. It was something that came out by Home Depot, made like 4.8 billion or something like that. It was something crazy that came out this week about Home Depot. Let me look and see if I can go tools. Let's go in the past week. Let's see. Was something about Home Depot that came out about them making billions. I can't. I had to look it up. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if it was a quarterly or something like that. Let's see. Yeah, here it is right here. Overall, Home Depot net sales in Q4 increased by 10.7 percent year over year to reach $35.7 billion. That's the second straight quarter of accelerating revenue and growth, which it coincides with Home Depot here at 15%. You got time to buy into Home Depot. You got time. Sir Her speaks, what's going on? So you got time to buy in Home Depot. And we know that this is going to continue to grow because there's a housing shortage. We know that people are still going to build houses. They're still building apartments. They're building like crazy out here. They're building like crazy in Austin. They're building crazy in North Carolina, and they're building crazy in Florida. So people are still buying houses. So and that means people need supplies, right? All right, and people are still renovating their houses too, right? So then let's look at the other one, a contender here, Anthem at 13.27%. I'm going to give you my own advice. My own advice. It's not the advice of Women in Linux. It's not uh, financial advice. I'm going to tell you how I do mine when I'm looking at company 401k. What I do is I look for anything that's returning over 5 to 10 years, really 10 years. I like to do five too. If there's, it's got to be double digits for me. It's got to be 10 and up. I like 13. I like 19. I like 20. And I constantly buy those stocks. Like I'm in there. So something like, and I'm talking about returns. If I'm seeing returns at 15%, let's just say this was a return at 15%, right? Or this was a return at 13 and this was a return I'm buying. I'm in it. Sign me up. I'm in it. But you got to diversify your portfolio too. So, all right. So let's go down here. Genpact Limited, 15.74%. That's a challenger. Ticker symbol G. Home Depot ticker symbol is HD. Reliance Steel and Aluminum Company common stock, ticker symbol RS, is a contender. They're not an aristocrat or a king, but it has, you can buy in up until March 10th, well, right before March 10th, and they have an increase of 27.18%. Remember, these are dividends. The dividends are increasing, right? So 20% Exponent Inc. and Farmers National Bank Corp 14.29%, FMNB, right? And then he go on to talk about definitions, the street, the field, forward yield, the ex dividend date. This is the date before which you need to own the stock. So again, these are the dates in which you need to own this, you need to purchase before that date. Really, let's say purchase before that date. So like a Home Depot, or see the 10th, or you got time to get into a Farmers Bank, National Bank Corporation, right? And you can start setting up your drip portfolio. You can set up a drip portfolio, put something on a watch list, go read the prospectus of that particular stock, how people are investing, what has it performed like over time, especially if you have a brokerage account with um, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, or them. Get them on the phone, call them on the phone, and have a conversation with them. Sit down and say, "This is what I want to do with my portfolio. I'm looking to create a drip portfolio. Here's what I would like to invest in. Are there any other recommendations?" Right? This is Seeking Alpha. All right, so and then in the percent increase, and this is overall dividend history classification of the company. And then they talk about show me the money. So here's what they're predicting what the new rates are going to be from 2.63 to 2.65. But drop down here where you got something that goes from 0.22 to 0.264. 0.4484, this is what the dividend pays out now, and this is what it's going to increase to pay out coming up, right? And these are going to be over time. Over time, these are going to change. Let me do that real quick. Let me pull up a Swab account, um, and we'll go look at Home Depot, and I'll show you what that looks like with an increase over time. And as always, these all places have jobs. Keeping it to textiles and jobs. All these places have jobs. All right, so let's go and do HD. Home Depot. All right, and let's bring this over. Okay, now let's look at their dividends. I like to show it this way, and it's going to increase. Right, so for 2014, $1.88, $2.36, all the way up to $6.60. And the ex dividend date for Home Depot was 304, so you had to be in by Friday. And that's another thing. Look, they're telling you when the ex dividend date that you should have been in order to get that dividend, right? Um, and then they talk about the payout, right? The payout on, excuse me, was $1.65 for February 23rd, 2021. May was $1.65, and this is per share. This is per share, right? So you may have 100 shares. Remember, we're talking about drip still too. So you want to drip or DCA. You want to reinvest your actual dividends, and you want to DCA in. How much is this per share? It's 324. So you may not want to buy that at 324. So you can buy fractionals of 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 um of Home Depot, and I think the minimum dollar amount for fractionals is $5. So some people just do fractionals on a set of stocks, and they just invest in that. And this really helps, like that person who's working at Target. This is one way that that person can say, okay, well, I'm going to stick with Home Depot, or I'm going to stick with Amazon, and I'm going to just put $5 in there every week. It's not a big burden on them in terms of I'm trying to buy the whole stock. It still gets them in the game, and then they can look at the periodic table that we're gonna set up to start learning terms and investing, right? So that's what I look at when we're talking about this, right? All right. So the next thing I want to show was this one here, and then we're gonna move on from this one, and we're gonna go into um, DAOs. Oh, I had clicked on this. This was the Dividend Investor and Resource Center. I'll Let me put this link up right here, and then let's look at this link. And that was from that sheet. Dividend Champion Excel sheet, and then here is the Dividend Champion PDF format, Dividend Radar. And it says Dividend Radar is a weekly update of securities that have raised their yearly dividend payouts for at least 5 years, and the ones that's coming up. So let me drop this link for y'all. Uh, you can go play with that. I'll drop it in the back, and D can hook it up. Oh, private. All right. So take a look at this site. Let's go over here to articles. Let's see what kind of articles they got. What is a dividend champion? The dividend discount model for dividend investors. 4 ETFs for dividend growth investors. Safe stocks for dividend investors. Future, and we're gonna talk about IBM. Everybody keep counting IBM out, and I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't count IBM out. Um, how can you build a robust portfolio of dividend stocks? Hold on one second. My phone is vibrating and ringing. Um, see, 7 investing mistakes to avoid in your 30s. Ooh, that's a good one. Let's see. We getting all off my stuff, but when I find something interesting, then I have to go look at it. I have to go read it. All right, let's go. Racking up credit card debt, not living below your means, not participating in your 401k, not earning as much as you can so you can invest, build your skills, get the 200K. Yeah, IBM been around. Yeah, investing too conservatively, not talking money with your future spouse or your friends or your family, not saving for your kids' college expenses. And that was it. That's what they said when you do it for your 30s, right? And then this landed me to the NASDAQ. Let me go back. Yeah. So you know what? Let's save this too. Y'all can look it over. Let's save this and let's do a deep dive on this website. Dividend strategies. Oh, which brings me to my thing. All right, cool. Let me get back on topic. Y'all getting me off. All right, these 6%. It's y'all fault that I get off. Y'all got to put in the comments. Get back on topic. I'll go off into a wormhole. All right, so these 6% yielding dividend aristocrats are retirement dream stocks, right? So let's get into them. Market turmoil, best blue chips. You never have to fear any correction. But when you own the world's best blue chips, you never have to fear. Okay, today MOENB, Triple N, PM, and IBM represent the highest yielding dividend aristocrats you can safely buy today. So this could be a recommendation for that person that work at Target. This could be a recommendation for that um, that mother that wants to park her money safely. Again, this is not financial advice. These are just ideas, right? They yield almost 6%, and analysts think they could deliver close to 13% long-term returns, similar to what we achieved over the last 30 years. Let's go down here. and they actually show, what they look like over time. Let me go down because I want to see where here how to find the safest high yield aristocrats in all market conditions. It's called the Dividend Kings Research Terminal, right? Dividend Kings Research Terminal. Here we go. Highlight this. See, like this, I will put this on the periodic table or as a resource. Ooh, sure. Against my better judgment, but sure, they need to fix that. All right, so here they actually have this is actually coming out of Seeking Alpha too. I have to look through this. We have to play with this. Let's go back. So the DK 500 master list includes the world's highest quality companies, all dividend champions, all dividend aristocrats, all dividend kings, all global aristocrats, ultra swans. Never heard of ultra swans. Mm. 47 of the world's best growth stocks. And it says green, potentially buy, blue, yellow, red. And then here's the 6 dividend aristocrat bargains you won't want to miss. Altria, Enbridge, National Retail Properties, Philip Morris International. They keep coming up, and IBM. Let's look at this. We have five high yield dividend champions, aristocrats, and kings in 4 sectors in 2 countries. Why might we want to consider these aristocrats? And they give a quality out of 13, right? They give a quality score out of 100. Philip Morris is at 90. In Philip Morris, the cigarettes too. Dividend balance sheet, safety score. They have a safety score, a dependability rating, and a dependability score. And that's what they come up with the super swarm. Have to write that out. And then they also have a rating on here as well too. We'll have to play with this one. I'll go and play with the Dividend King Research Terminal. I have to play with that. All right, let me get back. All right, so while we are talking about that, did I put it down here? Did I try to save it for the next show? Let me look. Hold on. It's something I wanted to show. It may be at the top. I moved it somewhere. Where did I move it to? It is oh here, right here. Here it is. 6 income um retirement income 6 strategies. I wanted to bring this up because I talk about this and I don't think you guys realize I've stated this before, but I want to show you this. All right. So there are different income strategies that you can do. And I don't know if, again, it's not financial advice. You can talk to a financial advisor on this. And drop a one in the chat if you're able to keep up. It just makes sense. All right, so here we go. Defining a style and matching strategies to it provides an important step forward in making sure individuals and their retirement income strategies are aligned. Constructing an appropriate strategy is a process, and there's no single right answer. No one approach or retirement income product works best for everyone. Um, and let's hop down here. It says we are helping clients plan for retirement. We don't know how much they will need either, but we would never want them to fall short. To make sure they have enough, we must help them account for numerous factors. These factors include how much income will you need, and when we're talking about how much income you would need in retirement. How long will they need that income? How will inflation look like? What would inflation look like? You see, inflation is crazy. Now, what if you retire right now and inflation sprung out and you weren't prepared? How much will they want to leave their beneficiaries? We talked about this last week with um, your insurance policies and so forth as well too. So answer these questions can be daunting, but let's just hop down here. They give some scenarios, but that's not what I want to focus on. I want to just name these six strategies and then we'll go back. The certain strategy, the static strategy, the bucket strategy. I talk about the bucket strategy, the variable strategy, and then the dynamic strategy, and the insurance strategy. And from talking to different advisors, you can be in and out of one of these over time, right? You could be in both. You could be in one. You could be in two. All right, so let's go back up. The bucket strategy. To overcome to overcome the fear of rebalancing in a down market, retirees may prefer to deploy to the bucket strategy. This approach leverages the mental accounting cognitive basis or our tendency to assign subjective values to different pools of money, regardless of the fungibility. Think a Christmas account. Clients establish two or more buckets, for example, a cash like short term bucket, and then with 2 or 3 years of income instead needs, and a long term diversified investment bucket with their remaining retirement funds. But what you're what you're not hearing is while that money is there, it's making money, right? It's not sitting in a savings account, but it's making money while it's sitting, right? In the retirement, the client pulls their income needs year to year from short-term bucket as its long-term counterpart replenishes those funds over specified intervals or balance threshold. The bucket strategy would not eliminate SORR, and I'll show you what that is in a minute, but it gives clients more flexibility to navigate market downturns. Bear markets often compel retirees to rebalance to more conservative allocations as a means of risk and mitigation, right? By separating buckets, clients may be less prone to irrational decisions, secure in understanding that their current income will not be affected by the market downturns, and that there is time to replenish the funds in the long term bucket. So let me know if that made sense to y'all as well too. See, making sure I'm not crazy. I could be, but making sure. All right, cool. All right, the variable strategy. Um, Most static income programs simply adjust a client's income distribution for inflation, keeping their real income the same regardless of the need. But what if their income needs change from year to year, right? So they give you a variable strategy, right? Um, I don't want to see a phase spending scenario like this makes intuitive sense. So let's say here, uh, found that spending doesn't stay the same throughout the retirement. He identified a retirement spending smile, right, pattern. Clients spend more early in their retirement, taper their expenditures in the middle of retirement, and then increase their outlay later in retirement. So he's talking about a smile. So you come here, you spend, you kind of calm down, and then on the later years you accelerate that, right? So some of you may invest like that too. You might, if you think about it. A phase spending scenario like this makes intuitive sense. Retirees will consume more on travel and entertainment at first, then reduce their expenditures as their health and mobility declines, and as their retirement lengthens, their healthcare expenses will grow, and they account for more of their spending. So that's the variable. The dynamic is while a variable strategy lays out phases in income, a dynamic strategy adjusts according to the market. And so I don't know if I would like the dynamic strategy. Some of y'all might like it, but let's read it. One form of dynamic income planning uses the Monte Carlo simulations of possible capital market scenarios. Monte Carlo would be on the periodic table. Um, Clients can then adjust their income based on their probability levels. For example, if 85% is deemed as an acceptable success threshold and the Monte Carlo calculates 95% distribution process, the distribution will be increased. Alternatively, if the Monte Carlo simulates a 75% probability, then the distributions will be cut. We're going to snatch that back from you. 100% success rate is ideal. Obviously, it may not be achievable. And then insurance strategy. Ultimately, the retirement fund is used to generate income, and most of these strategies thus far assume a retirement horizon. But horizon is impossible to predict. The only way to eliminate a client's longevity risk is to ensure the retirement income stream. So they say in this scenario, the client works for an insurance company, paying a lump sum up front to guarantee regular income over a single or joint of lifetime. I use the bucket and the insurance strategy, right? I use the bucket and the insurance strategy. To elevate the strategy, we must balance comfort of receiving an income regardless of the market performance or longevity against potential costs. Principal accessibility, beneficiary payouts, credit worthiness expenses are just a few factors. To be sure, these strategies are hardly exhaustive. They simply provide a framework. You got to do what's best for you, right? Whatever the strategy is, clients deploy will be a function of their personal preferences and a host of variables, right? And I won't go through the other ones, the static strategy and the certainty strategy. You all can read these on Seeking Alpha as well if you want to, or you can look them up as well. Let's see what kind of time we got. Uh, Almost time to wrap it up now. All right, let me see. We talked about the dividends. I gave you the 6 different strategies. We talked about drip. Let's talk about the Dow. And I feel like I had something else up here I want to talk about. Drop a one in the comments if this made sense. Mm, let me see. Oh yeah, here we go. We're gonna talk about that one too. But let's get to this. Let me copy that. Thanks, reality. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, it's the same one. Okay, cool. Same link. All right. So look, we talked about DAOs last week, but here is the DeFi, the future of programmable money. It's a conference coming out on March the 30th. I didn't double check to see if it was virtual or not, but you might want to, right? The DeFi and the future of programming money, right? Um, Here, this conference is going to be to bring decentralized exchanges, liquidity providers, stable coins, DGens, and regulators together to provide a glimpse into the fast approaching future of finance. DeFi and the future of programmable money covers everything from the basics of DeFi to what the cutting edge programmable money projects you must understand. Join engineers, retail investors, and institutions as they build a better global system, right? DeFi is going mainstream as DGens are becoming with it brought to you by Sommelier Finance and DeFi Summit will show you how to get involved, how to tell good projects from the bad, and how to be part of the next gen finance. Learn from key players. Join us March 30th. And then this is another one that came up here, the Lobster DAO. Learn about the Lobster DAO, an influential community of engineers, devs, and finders at DeFi and the programmable money. And that's the conference right here. It's a free virtual conference um, on March the 30th at 10 a.m. So something you may want to be a part of. Dee has the link. She could drop it too. I think I saw a question. Um, as a beginner in the tech industry, who should I do first as a on the path to cloud engineer with no CS degree? Well, pick one. Linux, cloud, either or, right? I mean, you're doing cloud, so I would go honestly. I would go look at jobs and start from there. Like, what is a cloud engineer? What are the requirements that they're asking the people to have? That gives you a better idea of how to tailor your learning. And don't do it for one job. Do it for multiple jobs. So let's get back here. All right. So here, the Lobster DAO. The Lobster DAO gave birth to Curve Finance and other projects that have collaborated with this community. Gearbox, I guess Ambry, CoinList, IC.Tools, and Dex Guru. In addition to the main channel and aforementioned blockchain lobsters, other sub channels include a main DeFi chat, a DeFi dev chat, a daily newsletter, a job board, and two NFT related chats. And NFT Avenue, and which are NFT Avenue and Sea Kingdom. You'll have an opportunity to learn about Lobster DAO at the DeFi Future Programmable Money Summit, right? And they talk about who's going to be there. So something that you may want to get interested in and whatnot, right? All right, so that was that. Here's this one, Founders Fund. We talked about funds. I talk about them a lot, and a lot of people are creating funds. But here, look inside the Founders Fund. It closes in on 5 billion across two new funds. The Founders Fund has garnered a lot of money from investors. It has returned quite a bit of capital, a lot of action, and then maybe a little to you. So I blow that up too. A lot of action of both fronts has happened very recently. Yesterday, a 17-year-old outfit took the wraps off more than 5 billion in fresh capital commitments across two new funds, 1.9 billion for early stage and 3.4 billion for growth stage vehicle. That brings it to a total assets under management 11 billion. That's a lot of moolah. But the San Francisco based outfit, which more recently opened an office in Miami, told us earlier today over the last 2 years alone, it has returned $10 billion worth of shares to investors after its portfolio companies have hit the public market. Right? To learn about how its new funds are likely to be invested, we talked earlier today with Lauren Gross and Brian Singerman, longtime partners of the 35-person outfit with 11 billion, right? They also answered questions about how the firm is structured these days, how often investing decisions involve firms, famous co-founders Peter Thiel and Wealth Founders Fund plans to incubate more companies. And the question I have is, what does it take to be in the Founders Fund? How much money do you need to have in order to be in the Founders Fund? Right. See, Lynn answered the question, like Linux, and then one of the cloud certs, the first AWS search, not bad at all. The cloud practitioner, check out job listings and work backwards. Yep. And come to the meetup. Come to the meetups on Wednesday. Right? Come to the meetups. All right. So that was the Founders Fund. We talked about drip. We talked about dividends. We talked about retirement strategies. Um. Oh, well. Okay, fine. Let's do this one. Number 33. I'll stop in 5 minutes. I think the next show is at 2:30. That means right now it's 1:30 y'all time. All right. This was interesting. I wanted to look them up. Right. Startup is developing skin for robots to give them the human touch. Basically, they're making robots look like humans. And they gave a pitch that, and they've raised over 4.8 million. A startup that makes skin for robots has just raised 4.8 million from Octopus Ventures. Touch Lab expects its technology to impact everything from grocery picking to nuclear decommissioning. So let's go look at Touch Lab. Here we go, touchlab.io. They're building skin. And about us. Since I was 14, I was 14 years old and living in Finland. I dreamt of working in nanotechnology and robotics. The CEO and founder here, uh, I guess Zaki Hussein, founder and CEO. Uh, let's see, do they have any jobs? What's a big? That was about us. Our team. Um, this is a co-founder here, CDO, Chief Data Officer. I'm assuming, founding member and CDO, electrical engineer, senior electronic skin engineer, commercial lead, and roboticist. And I guess who they work with. Here's their advisory committee. Who's she? Lisa Sutherland is an entrepreneur and advisor and investor. And I don't see any jobs. Let's go click on their LinkedIn and see if they got jobs. Yeah, no jobs. Let's check out their posts. That was 1 week ago. That's their seed round. We're also excited to be competing in a $10 million finals later this year, and this was a month ago. And with increased focus on haptics, we're more confident than ever before. So they got a small team; they're not hiring yet, or maybe they are, and they just don't have anything posted. I will always reach out and see. But they're getting funding though, right? Touchlab.io, right? Um, let's talk about this one. Satellites. 3 more minutes. All right, this company, AST Mobile. So you heard about what's going on in the Ukraine. You also saw what was going on with the Ukraine and the actual situation with Ukraine and the situation with um, not having any internet. And you saw Tesla flew in with Starlink and put a satellite over the region to give internet service back. Well, AST SpaceMobile, a broadband internet through satellite, just as Elon's Starlink in the Ukraine. Their ticker symbol is ASTS. They're considering them a buy. Uh, the last price was $6.83 for them. In these difficult times for stocks due to high inflation, Eastern Europe's uncertainty likely to persist to become important to look up at space for disruptive stocks, right? ST Mobile uh is doing with its Skywalker satellite, somewhat similar to Elon Musk Starlink. Skywalker technology exhibits more advantages on which I will shed light to. Also considers the launching company's business model. So here we are. Here's what their satellite looks like. And I showed the satellite before where we talked about satellites with cryptocurrency. We talked about that. We also talked about satellites and blockchain, right? But we're talking here Earth orbit (LEO), right? So this is here they're talking about SpaceX, well not SpaceX, but Starlink. Then it says now my objection in this thesis is the potential of high broadband satellite-based communication in the new world order. But the other thing is Starlink satellites was crashing into each other, and so now there's a company out there when we start talking about space junk. Let me see. Will this come up? I looked this the other day on Space Fence. This came out 7 years ago, right? And Space Fence is just like what it sounds like.
Space is no longer a vast, empty void. Unprecedented quantities of new satellites, derelict satellites, and debris litter the skies, posing an imminent threat to America's space assets. Lockheed Martin's Space Fence System is a ground-based system of S-band radars designed to greatly enhance the Air Force space surveillance network. It provides unprecedented sensitivity, coverage, and tracking accuracy, and contributes to key mission threads with the ability to detect, track, and catalog small objects in low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, and geosynchronous orbit. In a word, Space Fence will revolutionize space situational awareness. It offers assured surveillance coverage for improved custody and features the capability to develop long arc tracks for accurate initial orbit determination and differential correction, while simultaneously maintaining a persistent surveillance volume. In today's ever-expanding space environment, Space Fence improves the accuracy and timeliness for association, propagation, and orbit improvement. It features an open architecture net-centric design. The closely coupled radar signal processing and mission processing suite improves accuracy, discrimination, and timeliness for detection of closely spaced objects, breakups, maneuvers, lost object location, launch, attitude change, and conjunction assessment. Space Fence not only tracks objects, but can precisely determine their projected orbit. This allows operators to reconstruct recent events, such as collisions or satellite breakups, and accurately predict future events. For high-interest objects, a microfence can be electronically constructed to gather more track data, focusing radar resources specifically on that object, providing more timely and accurate information. The Space Fence system includes up to 2 minimally manned radar sites, mission processing, and the system operations functionality. Each radar site features a design boasting closely spaced but separate transmit and receive arrays that are mission optimized for high availability and low lifetime support costs.
So I want to give you information when we're talking about space and what's going on. That's from 7 years ago, right? Um, when we're talking about space and the situation with debris, uh, that debris has to crash back to the earth eventually. How do we track that? How do we stop that? How do we collect that? And so forth. So I go more on into space junk collection and those what those stocks are and who's investing in those and what that looks like for us. All right. So the company we're discussing is what their ticker symbol is ASTS, and they're competing with Starlink. Let's see, it has a market capitalization now and stands about 360 million. Again, providing internet, right? Um, and here is a little bit about satellite anytime. Uh, it says the link. It says ASTS upside appears linked to the launch of Blue Walker 3 satellite anytime from March 1st to April 1st of 2022 by hitching a ride on Elon Musk's SpaceX rocket. The satellite includes a 693-foot surface designed to communicate directly with smartphones as per its illustration. And so you could probably click here. I wonder if they're showing the launch. There's a PDF of it. So let's go here, look up ASTS space launch. Um, ASTS space launch. Yeah. Rocket launch tonight live. Is that's an ad? That's an ad. And here's the person right here. That was 12 STS. That's 12 years ago, 5 months ago. I don't see it. It hits the ride. Uh, how Vodafone and AST SpaceMobile plan to connect for a better future. So Vonda is part of this in conjunction to provide better cell phone service. Right, right. So just be aware of where what you say on your phone. If it's in space, right? All right. So that's AST. Again, $6. I think it was $6.93 a share. $6.83 a share. Check them out. You might be interested in them. Do some research on them. Again, not financial advice, just giving you some options. And that was it. That was we're out of time. I have more, but I can go over it on the next show. Let me double check everything here. Is that well? I only got one more. I don't have to go over it on the next show. We only got one. We only got one. So let's do it. We only got one. Let me get it. I'm trying to highlight it and get it. Hold on. Gosh darn it! I hate when it does that. Do 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 do. They don't know. All right, this week 10 biggest funding rounds. Palmetto powers up with 375 million. Samatus raises 325 for kidney care. This is from February 25th, right? And I wanted to bring this up because we're talking about clean tech. Here we go with clean tech. Renewable energy stocks, you know, what does that look like? All that's on the rise. Do you know since the situation with the Ukraine, do you know what to invest in? Are y'all looking to do y'all know what to invest in? Y'all know what's been rising? Have y'all been keeping up? Let's see. All right. I hear you, D. You said at 11:46. Okay, cool. Um, do y'all know what to invest in? Or you know what's been rising? Energy. So if there are companies that are able to successfully clean up that debris, would would they be able to keep the resources they find? You know what? I don't know if it's once the space jump. I don't know. Maybe, probably so. It's kind of like this the situation with the cars that are burning over in the water on that boat, right? Those Porsche 911s that's sitting on that boat, burning in the Bentleys and stuff. Uh, if the boat sunk, kids, there have been people were looking up salvage rules, right? How to pull that as a salvage. I'll go over it on the next show. I won't get off. Anyway, 375 million clean tech metal Chamath, and he been in the news lately. Uh, Samatus 325 million in healthcare. um, Blue Voyant, 250 million cybersecurity. These are all companies that have jobs. These are all companies that have jobs that which you can go look up DevSecOps. We're talking about cybersecurity. We're talking about compliance. Every one of these particular locations probably needs cybersecurity in some shape or form, another cloud security, on-prem, physical, what have you. DBT Labs, data analytics, 222 million, and a 4.2 valuation. Helium blockchain investing in Web3. All right, Helium based, San Francisco based Helium seems to have a unique model. You want to check them out. They're on a Series D, and they have an evaluation of 1.2 billion. And we've seen Tiger Global and FTX Ventures um, as well. Amada Healthcare, they're on the Series E, and they have a funding round led by Fidelity. So you may want to look on Model Health. Bloom Reach, 175 million, and they're led by Goldman Sachs. And a year ago, they had a valuation of 2.2 billion. Fabric, we talked about Fabric before. 1.5 billion in valuation. Revel, electric cars. Cipher Medicine, 110 in biotech. And Timescale, uh, New York-based Timescale, a relational database developer, raised 110 million for a Series C and a $1 billion valuation. And I could go over these next week as well too. We can go look at their jobs that they have. They'll all have a lot of jobs as well, that you can actually get into. D has already warned me. She was like, "We gotta go." So that was it. I finished everything. That's what I wanted to do, and I got it done. I'm excited. The only thing I didn't do is go over the jobs. Man, we can go over the jobs on the next one. Don't tell D. All right. So we're gonna see y'all at 2:30, right? I'll probably, you know, about 2:30, 2:35 for Donald. It won't be 15 minutes. Thank you very much, Donald. It won't be 15 minutes. All right. So again, we'll catch you in 30 minutes. Everybody be safe. See you in 30, and thanks for coming out. And don't forget to like and subscribe.